Hey everyone! I just uploaded a video on my beauty channel, basically just kind of going along the same theme of back to school. And so for those of you guys that are interested in seeing a back to school outfit, back to school hairstyles, please check out my beauty channel. The link will be in the description bar. But as far as the mini series of back to school that I'm doing on my vlog channel, I'm going to be doing videos that have been requested, basically just about tips, study advice, what to expect in high school, what to expect from teachers and classes and things like that. So let's get started. Okay, so first off, what to expect in high school. I'm not sure if you guys have done this already, but thinking back to my freshman year when I started high school, I remember that I was so overwhelmed on how big it was, and I was advised to go to my school and kind of just take your schedule. I took my schedule along with me, and I walked through my classes just to see how long it took me to get to each class, and just so that I knew where each class was. And I went to my locker and tried out the combination code. So I'm not sure if you guys have gotten that yet, but you probably, if you didn't get it already, will be getting it probably like within the next week or so. So I would highly suggest you to go to your school and just pretend like you're, walking through your schedule. Look at your classes, make sure you know what floor you are on, wherever your classroom is, because it will become, it's like second nature. It'll pretty much become second nature to you. And you'll just be happier to go to school on the first day, knowing where everything is, knowing where your classroom is, and your homeroom and everything. So that's tip number one. Now, for me, I kind of almost had to start high school twice. I went to public school pretty much my entire life, and then after freshman year, I switched and went to like a private school for sophomore, junior, and senior year. So when I say big, I mean my public school, because my public school had about, I don't know, 300 kids in my grade. And so the school was really big, the hallways were huge. When I went to my private school, there was, I think I graduated with 127 in my class. So the school was much smaller, everything was a much smaller scale. So I guess I'm just going to try to give you guys perspectives on both, because I went to a public school and a private school, so I kind of know a little bit of both. So as far as my public school goes, I would say that tip number two is to just be really open to new things, and don't be afraid or shy to make new friends, because everyone is starting fresh. There were a lot of different kids that were coming from different school districts, so not many people really knew each other. And I would really suggest, if you really don't know anybody, because this is what I ended up doing in my private school when I had to start over again. I remember that it was 5th period when I had my lunch, and I didn't know anybody because, again, it was harder because I switched over in sophomore year, so everyone already knew each other. And I just remember I walked into the cafeteria, and the first table that I just happened to see, I just kind of introduced myself and I was like, "Hi, my name's Donatella, would you mind if I sit with you?" And turns out that they were a group of freshmen and some sophomores, so we just kind of became friends. So I would really just say, don't stress out about there being so many people, because a lot of the people don't really know each other. And yes, there are some kids that, know each other from middle school or whatever, but just be really open to new things, and don't be afraid to just say hi to random people. Now, as far as my public school, there were so many people that were so much bigger and taller and stronger looking than I was, so it was really intimidating walking through the hallways. And I even remember some people just kind of pushing their way through the hallway, and it was just kind of rude. I don't know, I wasn't really expecting it to be so push and shove, but it wasn't bad to the point. I don't know if you guys have seen 17 again, and people were like pushing and shoving, and even the police guy was like, "Hey, watch where you're going." It wasn't nothing like that. I feel like sometimes in movies they kind of over-exaggerate. I guess tip number 3 would just be, don't be intimidated. And I know that sounds kind of weird because it's kind of easier said than done, but just kind of brush it off. People honestly are just in their own zone, just trying to get to class, trying to make their way through. And if you're just doing your own thing, not really caring about what other people are thinking or doing, it's really not you. Don't think that it's you. Don't think that they're just pushing you out of the way. It's really just because there's so many people that are just going to and from classes, and that's just kind of their way of being like, "I'm in a hurry, get out of my way." So don't worry about it. Now basically, when you start class, I remember the first class, my first period on my first day, my history teacher, because I happened to have history first period, had told me something that kind of opened my eyes and made me really think about the rest of my high school years. She told me, "You guys are in high school now, you're not babies, and basically we're not going to come after you anymore. This is what you should stay away from, and this is what you should try to do. So I know that probably sounds really weird, like, what are you talking about? But basically what she was saying is that it's kind of just becoming more of your responsibility. Teachers are not going to come up to you and be like, hey, so-and-so, you forgot to turn in your homework assignment. I mean, some teachers will, because they kind of ease you in. They're not so strict and, you know, you have to do this or else, blah, 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 blah. It's nothing like that. But they're just, the teachers are going to start to wean away from, it's almost due date, you better turn your stuff in because you're going to get in trouble. So basically, just make sure that you write things down. I cannot stress this enough. We as teenagers think, you know, we're invincible, we can remember things, but if a teacher tells you something, make sure to write it down, because in the long run, when you get to senior year and things are more your responsibility, it's something that not even just helping you in high school, but helping you in the long run just in life. Taking things and making them your responsibility so that people don't have to come after you. If you write things down, it makes things so much easier on yourself. So I guess I'm going to kind of diverge from that and kind of dip my toes into tips and how to study. Planners are my life. No, seriously, I'm not kidding. If I didn't have a planner in high school, I do not even know what I would have done. But this is what I recommend. If you guys use your planner that they give you, because in college you have to buy your own, so it's even more of your responsibility to take it upon yourself to go to the bookstore and buy yourself a planner. But in high school, at least in my private school and in my public school, they provided planners. So what I did was I went through my schedule and I wrote down every single class. Then I took a yellow, a pink, a green, and a blue crayon. And these are just colors that I use. You can use whatever colors if you want. But basically what I'm getting at is that I color coded. Color coding is the best thing ever. It really just helped me so much. I colored those in yellow, so all of my subjects were in yellow. Then whenever a teacher told me, okay, something is due a week from today, I would go to the next week, write down the subjects, and write down when the thing was due. Now, things that are due, I did in green. Again, subjects were in yellow, tests were pink, and quizzes were blue. This way, when you open up your planner, instead of having to look through it and just being overwhelmed with the fact that there's so much writing on the page, if you open it up and see pink or blue or, you know, whatever, orange, red, whatever, you know in your you know yourself that there's a quiz this week, there's a test this week, there's something due this week, rather than having to actually like read it. Because I don't know about you guys, but I just wanted to make it as simple as possible. And so as far as classes go, classes were not too stressful as a freshman. It obviously just gets harder as you go. Freshman year I took some honors classes, and then when I switched over to my private school, I didn't want to take any honors classes just because I didn't know how strict the curriculum was. But I know that in my private school the classes were fairly reasonable. I mean, it wasn't so hard that you couldn't handle it, but it wasn't easy either. I mean, you have to study, you have to make sure that you do your assignments, and honestly, if you just do your homework, you get points just to do your homework. So I know that high school can be so overwhelming. I remember that my first day I was really stressing out about workload, but if you really just take one day at a time, don't think about, oh my gosh, sophomore year I'm going to have a million tests, I'm taking AP classes, I'm taking honors classes, and it's going to be hard. Like, don't think of that. Just really take one year at a time and one day at a time, and you'll be fine. Another thing, kind of along the same lines of color coding, I also color code my notebooks. And on my beauty channel, I just uploaded a video, because again, I'm staying with the whole back to school theme, and it was just kind of a bunch of things that I got at Target. And so while I was at Target, I got different notebooks and different folders, so let me just show you. I pretty much just looked at my schedule and said, okay, I have this many classes, I need this many notebooks and this many folders. And so for instance, I would buy a one subject notebook, you know, the ringed notebooks, in one specific color and then match it with the same folder. This makes it so much easier because if you write down, let's say, history and history, then looking through your locker, because you really don't have much time in between classes. I think it's like 3-4 minutes. I guess it just depends too on where you go. If your school's bigger, you might have 5 or something. But I put one of those little box things in between my lockers so that I had the books on the bottom and then notebooks and folders on the top shelf. So it made it really easy in between classes when I didn't have much time to just remember, like, okay, history is pink, so I would just grab the pink ones. And so yeah, so even for college I'm doing the exact same thing. On my desk I'm going to have all of my books, all of my notebooks and folders and whatever, and just knowing that they're color-coded makes me relieved, you know, makes it just a big relief knowing that I know what class goes with what. And I know this may sound kind of corny, but don't be afraid to become friends with your teachers. Honestly, all of my teachers all throughout high school were very, very helpful. If you ever need anything, don't be afraid to go ask them. If you have a serious question, don't know what's going on in a class or whatever, I would suggest just going up to the teacher, because they would love you for going up to them, because a lot of kids don't and whatever. But it also just shows that you're very dedicated, you're very mature, and they just love it when you go up to them, and they will help you. They really will. I remember junior year, I took an AP US history class, and it was the hardest class I have ever taken. It really just overthrew my life, and I went from regular to AP, and so I was really nervous about that. I was not experienced really in social studies. I'm not a big social studies person, and I was getting really frustrated. I didn't know what to do, and so turns out that I just end up going to the teacher, and I was like, I am so sorry, but I don't know what's going on. I need help. Can you please help me? And I stayed after, you know, just for a couple of minutes or like an hour or whatever with him after school, and we just kind of went over the things that we went over in class. I brought my notebook, we highlighted things, and so that was a really, really big help. Which takes me to another thing, notes. Write down everything that teachers say. Sometimes teachers kind of drop hints as to what's going to be on a test, and if you don't have a pencil and pen ready, you're going to miss it, and you know, other people might miss it too. So I would suggest always having a pen and paper on your desk open at all times. Make sure that you take notes, and the way that I used to take notes is I would put like a really, really big star for topics. Like let's say I was in chemistry and we were talking about whatever, atoms or something. I would put the heading atoms really, really big with a big star. So every time I was going through my notes to study, I would look for the big stars, and that was pretty much just the main topic of what we discussed in like a particular section of a chapter. And then I would do little bullets and underline things so that when you go back, because usually the teachers will give you a study guide sheet. So what you do, and this is the same thing in college too, they give you study guide sheets, and so you go through and it says, you know, atoms 5 times on the page. And so you go through your notes and highlight everything that says atoms. So if you have everything in bold or with stars as topics, then it'll be easier to help you find things in your notes. And so also, I guess on the corny side, whatever, I really just want to tell you guys, don't be afraid to be yourself. I know that there's a lot of pressure on high schoolers because, again, of what things that we see on TV, things that we see in movies, and it's kind of almost as if they give us a guideline on how they expect us to act in high school. But again, kind of like what I said earlier in this video, high school really is not what it's cut out to be in the movies. I'm definitely going to be uploading more videos on this kind of back to school themed, and so I just kind of wanted to touch on this area about being yourself. So I'm going to upload another video, and along with other ones, and again, if you guys have any suggestions or video requests, I still have some video requests that I got that I'll be uploading soon, so stay tuned for that. And I know that it's very hard to look up to seniors and say, oh my gosh, they're so awesome, I wish I was like them. But really, don't be afraid to be yourself, and don't change yourself to be like the seniors, because in the long run, you are who you are, and you're special and amazing just how you are, just the way you are, and you will find people that are like you, that like the things that you do. So be true to yourself, and don't worry about, you know, the craziness of what the world wants you to be. And so if any of you guys have any questions or any comments, concerns, whatever, or if you're just really freaking out and need some advice, please, please, please don't hesitate to message me or leave me a message. I would love to answer, love to help you guys out. Alright, well thank you all so much for watching, and I hope that you enjoy. And I don't even know how many times I've said this, but leave me some comments, video requests, whatever. I'd be more than happy to help you guys out. And again, stay tuned for more videos on this little back to school theme, because I'm going to be posting more to try to help you guys out. So thanks so much for watching. Hope you're having a great day. Bye!